Tonight, when you finally lie down, something strange is going to happen. The room will go quiet, your body will go still, and your brain will explode. Not literally, but close. The moment you stop doing things, your mind starts doing everything. It replays conversations from 3 years ago. It writes tomorrow's to-do list. It rehearses arguments that will never happen with people who will never know. It asks questions you cannot answer in the dark. Why does it do this? Why does the one moment you need silence produce the most noise? The answer is older than language, older than houses, older than the idea of a bed. Your brain was not built for the world you live in. It was built for a world that no longer exists. And every night when you close your eyes, that ancient brain does exactly what it was designed to do. The problem is that what kept your ancestors alive is now keeping you awake. Picture a night about 50,000 years ago. No wall, no roof, just open ground, a fire that is going out, and darkness pressing in from every direction. The humans who survived that night were not the ones who fell into a deep, dreamless sleep the moment they lay down. They were the ones whose brains kept scanning, kept rehearsing, kept asking, is something coming? Did I make the right call today? What happens if that goes wrong tomorrow? That restless, hyper-vigilant mind was a survival machine. It processed threats. It planned. It worried on purpose, because worry was useful. A worried mind was a prepared mind. A prepared mind was a living mind. You inherited that mind. Neuroscientist Matthew Walker, who wrote the landmark book Why We Sleep, describes the modern sleep crisis as a collision between an ancient brain and an unnatural environment. Your brain was never meant to carry the weight of 100 social relationships, a global news cycle, an inbox, a calendar, and a financial future all at once. But it was absolutely built to lie awake and chew on every unresolved problem in its environment until something felt resolved. That process has a name. It is called the default mode network. The default mode network is a cluster of brain regions that activates when you are not focused on an external task. When you stop working, stop scrolling, stop watching, stop talking, it switches on. Researchers at Washington University, led by neuroscientist Marcus Rakel, discovered it almost by accident in the early 2000s. They were scanning brains during rest states, expecting to see low activity. Instead, they found the opposite. The resting brain was not quiet. It was ferociously active. The default mode network is the part of you that daydreams, that imagines futures, that runs social simulations, replaying conversations, predicting how people will react, rehearsing what you should have said. It is, in many ways, your most human feature. It is also the engine behind your 2 a.m. spiral. Here is the critical piece. The default mode network does not switch off just because you want to sleep. It switches off when your brain decides it is safe to stop monitoring. And in the modern world, that signal almost never comes cleanly. Think about the last hour before you tried to sleep. Your phone was probably on. You were probably reading something, watching something, or half thinking about something you need to do. Every one of those inputs was a signal to your nervous system that the environment was still active, still demanding, still potentially threatening. So when you finally closed your eyes, your brain did not receive a coast is clear signal. It received a now process all of that signal. Psychologist Shai Markovich and colleagues at the University of Haifa have studied a phenomenon called cognitive arousal, the state where the mind is too stimulated to release into sleep. They found that it is not just emotional stress that triggers it. Pure information overload does the same thing. Your brain treats unprocessed information the same way it treats unresolved threat. It holds it open. It keeps working on it. It does not let go until it feels finished. But in a world with infinite information, finished never comes. There is another layer to this. Your brain has a dedicated system for flagging things that are incomplete. Psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik identified it in the 1920s after noticing that waiters had a perfect memory for orders they had not yet delivered and almost no memory for orders they had. The moment a task is completed, the brain files it and releases it. An unfinished task, it stays active. It keeps pinging. This is now called the Zeigarnik Effect, and it is running inside your head every night. Every unfinished conversation is pinging. Every unresolved plan is pinging. Everything you said you would do and did not do is pinging. Your brain is not torturing you. It is trying to help. It genuinely believes that if it keeps the file open long enough, you will eventually close it. But you cannot close a file at midnight with no tools, no information, and no one to talk to. So it just keeps running. Now layer on top of this a second system, the threat detection circuit centered in your amygdala. The amygdala does not distinguish between a saber-toothed cat outside the cave and a performance review at work next Thursday. It reads emotional weight. High emotional weight equals potential threat. Potential threat equals stay alert. Matthew Walker's research shows that sleep deprivation makes the amygdala up to 60% more reactive, which means the less you sleep, the more emotionally activated your brain becomes the following night, which makes it harder to sleep, which activates the amygdala further. It is a loop that tightens every time you turn. This is why a few bad nights can spiral quickly into something that feels impossible to escape. But escape is possible because the same ancient design that creates the problem also points toward the solution. Your ancestors' brains quieted when three conditions were met. The body was physically tired. The environment sent consistent signals of safety, and the social group was near. Those three signals told the brain, you can stop now. You do not need to watch. The night is not dangerous. Your body still responds to those signals, not metaphorically, biochemically. Physical exhaustion, real movement during the day, depletes adenosine in the brain, the chemical that builds genuine sleep pressure. Not phone scrolling exhaustion, not decision fatigue exhaustion, muscle exhaustion, the kind your ancestors got by simply being alive. Without it, your sleep pressure is low, and a low-pressure system cannot push past a high-arousal brain. Environmental safety cues are even more powerful than most people realize. Temperature drop, silence, darkness. These are the signals the brain evolved to associate with the sheltered, firelit cave at the end of the day. A slightly cool room, a dark space, and the removal of light sources, especially the blue spectrum light that phones and screens emit, which the brain reads as daylight, can begin shifting your nervous system from scan mode to rest mode within minutes. And the third condition, proximity to your social group, is the one that surprises people most. Loneliness in evolutionary terms is the most dangerous state an early human could be in. Solitary humans did not survive long, so a lonely brain stays alert. It has no choice. Research by Julianne Holt-Lundstad at Brigham Young University found that chronic loneliness activates the same neural threat systems as physical danger. If you go to bed feeling genuinely disconnected from other people, your brain will stay on watch, not because it is broken, but because that is exactly what it was designed to do. You are not a bad sleeper. You are a human running software written for a very different world. The thoughts that spiral at midnight are not weakness. They are your brain doing its oldest job, making sure you are ready, making sure you are safe, making sure nothing is left unresolved that could hurt you before morning. It is a service, an ancient, loyal, deeply inconvenient service. And the moment you understand that, something shifts. The frustration with your own mind begins to soften because it was never working against you. It was working for you. It just did not know the cave is gone. So tonight, when you finally lie down, and the room goes quiet, and your mind begins its ancient, restless work, you will know exactly what is happening. The brain built for fire and darkness and open ground is doing the only thing it knows how to do. It is keeping you alive. It always has been.